And talking about finding out what's going on, John Young joins us in studio to discuss the role that faith plays in his recovery. John, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, from New Orleans, and yet not a New Orleans accent.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused by that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I mean, you got the "you're all" in there at one point.
Yeah.
But so let's start right from the basics. Tell me a little bit about your story.
Well, basically, in a nutshell, about 8.5 years ago, I found myself at the lowest point, at rock bottom in my life. I was suffering from heroin addiction, profound depression. I had a lot of things, I guess you could say, going for me. I graduated from college less than a year prior, but I came later to learn through my walk in community that I had these wounds that were holding me down inside myself, and I was unable to lead a normal life. And so my parents, they intervened. They came together, which was also a big sign for me because they were divorced, and they teamed up, joined forces to help me. And my mother had, in one of her travels to Medjugorje, had encountered this community. It's called Comunità Cenacolo, and it originated in Italy, and it's branched out, and it has a big house for men and women in Medjugorje. And remembering that, she had thought of that as an option, and I came to the realization, one day that I did need help. And so, less than, a few weeks later, I had actually entered into this program after doing a short orientation. And then, I began a long 8-year journey in Comunità Cenacolo.
Well, we're going to talk about the community in a second, but I want to go back when you were, well, you're still a young man. Right. Okay, compared to me, you're a very young man. But it's an issue today in today's society that, as you talk about the heroin abuse, that's not an unusual story these days. That's a story that seems to be in the news every single day. It must be very hard as a young person when that happens to try to get yourself out of it. Was it a difficult challenge for you?
Oh yeah, it was incredibly difficult, and that's the realization I came to, that I needed help. And I did have a moment where I cried out to God for help, because I grew up in a Catholic family, and faith was always in my heart, but I had covered it up with so many other things, so many distractions of the world, my curiosities, my want to seek pleasure and easy pleasure. And I know a lot of factors played into it. Just the simple, that I was a curious child, that I saw what was outside, just a lot of influence from culture, the environment that I lived in New Orleans. It's a great place. There's a lot of drinking and a lot of partying, and from early on in high school, that was just a mainstay, and that was something that you did, and I got sucked into that through my own decisions. And I also grew up in a broken home. My parents got divorced when I was 20, but long before that, there was a lot of strife and a lot of pain, and I always sought to exit that situation, and I sought pleasure in a lot of wrong places. I'm responsible for those decisions, but I had an environment that I was growing up in.
This Comunità Cenacolo, it seems, in its structure, almost operates as a school of life.
Yes.
Am I correct in saying?
Yeah, no, you're correct, and they like to say that. They don't like to term it a rehab or a center or anything. It's a school of life, and simply put, when I entered, I realized I didn't really know how to live life, and if you don't know something, you go to school to learn it. So the community, it started off with just providing a very rigid routine of waking up early in the morning, going to work, praying, just a very healthy lifestyle. So, it starts off with simple things, and then, of course, you get to the importance of prayer in your life. So it teaches you the importance of work. It teaches the importance of relationships, and having healthy relationships, and talking, and not just lashing out and just your feelings controlling you. And then, as God works through that, you also learn the importance of prayer life, which is the most important part, I can say.
And do you also figure out the dignity of each person, especially how important you are as an individual in God's eyes through this program?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody that has asked help from the community that enters in has asked for, a reason that they were, whether it's a drug addiction, and now it's just from, people wanting to experience a different experience of life. But, we're taught not to judge. You know, there's nothing good can come from judging, and so that we're all, you know, on an equal playing field, and whether or not one person's problem is bigger than another person's, you know, or how you define that, you know, we're all children of God and we're all equal in His eyes, and that there's, you know, there's no reason that we should be judging anybody else or comparing our problems or putting anybody down, and that is a big, you know, aspect of the community.
I think we'd be remiss, though, if we didn't bring up Sister Elvira. So what was her role in all? She was the beginning, right?
Well, right. Mother Elvira Petrozzi was an Italian nun that was part of an order of nuns in Italy, and she left that order to begin the community in Saluzzo because she felt a calling from God to help the young and desperate youth, which at that time were heroin addicts. And now, from her singular vision, you know, has spawned 70 houses and missions throughout the world, and you know, that help not just drug addicts, but anybody who, you know, is feeling depressed, or anybody who just wants, like I said, a different experience of life, or to encounter Jesus. And that's ultimately what she wants. She wants people to encounter Jesus, and she believes that they will find healing through their encounter with God and Jesus. You know.
We're almost out of time, but what are the key points that you would want people who are in our audience, because we're in their living room right now, to come away from about the experience, the school of life that the Comunità provides?
Well, the community asks nothing from us as we enter. It has no ambition. You know, it relies on the providence of God. You know, everything that we have there is provided for by God, you know, through His providence. You know, that the community has missions throughout the world, and that you know, some people, they find through their healing they want to give back what they've received, and so in turn, you know, it creates individuals that want to give the love that they've received, and in this way, you know, a lot of people ask me how you integrate well back into society, and that's it. That we would just come out feeling healed and wanting to give the love that we feel that we've received.
Well, John, it's been a pleasure speaking with you and the wonderful work. Congratulations. I hear you're heading down to Florida, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Well, have a safe trip down there. You're in our prayers. Remember us in your prayers.
And hopereborn.org is the website.
Yes.
Hopereborn.org.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more of This Is the Day right after this.